So I sat down with Sam Bankman-Fried in my studio for a conversation, and the meeting was, shall we say, brief. But in those brief moments, it was a bit unhinged. But before I show you those clips, keep in mind that this is a continuation from my previous video in this series, where I discussed what led him to where he is today. Continuing with his backstory, as Bankman-Fried's wealth grew, he believed in effective altruism, which he described as trying to figure out what positive things you can do in your life so you can have as much positive impact as you can on the world. However, Fried had a warped sense of effective altruism, as we will soon see.
You're a funny guy, Sally. I like you. That's why I'm going to kill you last.
His commitment to effective altruism was just a data-driven approach to philanthropy, which is favored by tech billionaires. And just like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, Sam had signed the Giving Pledge to give away 99% of his fortune. But little did he know that soon he would have nothing to give. Sam appeared to be a trustworthy and resourceful businessman. He chose to drive an average Toyota instead of a more expensive car. And yet, he owned a $30 million mansion in the Bahamas where he lived with his team members who were also his friends. I put a quote around friends because it gets a little juicy. Well, Bankman-Fried was at Jane Street Capital. He made a few friends, despite being a total nerd. And one of them happened to be Carolyn Ellison. Sam and Carolyn had dated for a while, and it was not really surprising to hear that Sam's team was just a bunch of 10 kids who were somehow all romantically involved with each other. Kind of like every TV show about 20-somethings.
Why have we been together?
I don't know.
Hey, if you're a subscriber, this is gonna hit the spot. Now in 2017, just as Sam started his new company, he invited Carolyn, who wasn't really sure what to do for a career, to come work with him. When Carolyn joined the company, she had little to no knowledge and experience in trading, but she was quickly on her way to becoming the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar business. Which is a little bit weird. I mean, it's like I know nothing about plumbing, and yet I'm not the CEO of pipes. Hey Ming, do you know about airplanes? No. Good, I got a job for you to run a jet engine factory. All right. Bankman-Fried's group of friends were his business partners and housemates, including Carolyn Ellison. Carolyn had an eccentric personality. She would publicly approve and praise amphetamine drugs on her social media page. And when it came to relationships, Carolyn had a unique view. She stated that the only acceptable polyamorous relationship should be in the form of a hierarchy. This is getting good. I know. According to her, she said, when I first started my first foray into poly, I thought of it as a radical break from the traditional past. But to be honest, I've come to decide that the only acceptable style of poly is best characterized as something like an imperial Chinese harem. Now I'm just waiting for the Hallmark Christmas cards movie about that set of relationships. You think we should produce a YouTube series like that? We need a $30 million mansion for that. We'll have the budget next year. She continued by saying, none of this non-hierarchical bullshit. Everyone should have a ranking of their partners. People should know where they fall in the ranking, and there should be vicious power struggles for the ranks. This goes back to my interview with Sam. So tell me about your girlfriend being very vocal about your polyamorous lifestyle with your friends down there in the Bahamas in that $30 million mansion.
Yeah, well, we all did our thing.
I bet you did. Bankman-Fried, the king of the Chinese imperial harem, went on to start his next major business project called FTX in 2019. So tell me, where exactly in Carolyn's relationship hierarchy did you fall? And where did you fall on hers?
She said I was first, which is weird because she had this other guy in there like 90% of the time.
Really? Well, I guess your package wasn't as large as your bank account.
What was that?
No, nothing. His previous business was making enough profit for him to launch his own crypto exchange platform. And just like other cryptocurrency exchanges, FTX was a place to store and trade different cryptocurrencies and tokens. And the exchange company even had its own native token called FTT. Shockingly, FTX's token was a token that actually blew up and took his company down. But before we go into how that happened, things had been spiraling down from the surface, but people just didn't see it.
Hey, yo, there's a speed bump up here.
From the start, Bankman-Fried's team kept high-level management in the dark about what they were doing. Little did they know they were going to get their heads bit off. For instance, Alameda Research was a crypto hedge fund that carried out trades, matched buyers and sellers, and gave investors a handsome 15% in return. It was an offer that was just too good to be true. The company used customer deposits as loans for trading, and it received $10 billion in FTX customer funds. This was a clear violation of FTX's own guidelines, but Bankman-Fried was investing and gambling with customer funds without the knowledge or consent of customers. I'm starting to think maybe this guy's no good. I'm starting to agree. It was reported that billions of dollars in FTX customer money was being traded on the Alameda house. FTX and Alameda are both located in the Bahamas and they're just steps away from each other. This made it extra easy to funnel funds without raising suspicions. And to make matters worse, some of the things that Carolyn said during interviews didn't actually encourage customers.
Use very little math. Use a lot of elementary school math. Yeah, we don't really do any technical analysis. We tend not to have things like stop losses.
Which is weird because her pitch on competitive romance was so stable and compelling. So did you give up on ethics because of Carolyn's tweets about hating ethical non-monogamy?
I didn't give up on ethics.
Oh no, of course you didn't. Interestingly, Bankman-Fried stated that he had started his company so he can offer more advanced financial products. And because of the features and trading offers that he offered, people trusted him and he was able to raise $2 billion from different hedge funds, including BlackRock, SoftBank, and Sequoia Capital. And when Sam was negotiating a $210 million investment with venture capital Sequoia Capital, it was reported that this billionaire was actually playing a video game called League of Legends. And after the meeting, Sequoia gave him the money. If they only knew, they would never see it again. According to reports from former workers at both FTX and Alameda Research, both companies were not what they seemed, as operations were full of conflicts and a blatant lack of oversight. But they were still making money. In July of 2021, it was reported that FTX was making an average of $10 billion a day in trading volume across 1 million users. By this time, FTX had grown so popular that celebrities and athletes such as Steph Curry and Tom Brady had endorsed the platform. FTX even had an NBA stadium named after them. The company grew to become a household name, but it was shocking to discover that as the company grew, it had no board of directors. Also, thanks to his politically connected family background, FTX became involved geopolitically and was a partner in the World Economic Forum. He joined the forum in supplying funds to Ukraine, where he converted cryptocurrency donations into fiat currency. With his involvement with the World Economic Forum, Sam was very well into politics. He donated $5 million to Joe Biden in 2020 and gave about $50 million to politicians ahead of the 2020 midterm election. By this time, Bankman-Fried was worth $26 billion. Bankman-Fried, along with Ryan Salami, or is it Salam? Or Salami? I don't know. Let's just call this guy Mr. Salami going forward, okay? So Mr. Salami, the co-CEO of FTX, was interested in buying political influence and no one was paying attention. Even when Bankman-Fried wanted his company to be at the center of the US move to digital US dollar crypto tokens. However, his biggest competitor and founder of Binance, Changpeng Zhao, was watching. Let's just call him CZ. And a single tweet from CZ would start a chain reaction that would totally crash Bankman-Fried's company. I try to have that much impact, but nobody likes my tweets about how much I enjoy cooking rice and beans. Both of Sam's companies were clearly built on shaky foundations. And although no one knew it at the time, the foundations were about to crumble. And everything started to change in the second half of 2022. Inflation struck and the Federal Reserve hiked interest rates. This meant that things became more expensive, including loans. Because of the failing economy, assets began to crash, and chief among them was cryptocurrency. Many crypto firms began to go under, but Sam, the king of crypto and the crypto savior, began buying up failing crypto firms. And nothing deemed unsinkable had never sunk, right? To the public, Sam wasn't taking any risk because Alameda Research had plenty of capital to spare. But behind the curtain, Sam and his team were taking in huge losses from these bailouts. Alameda even provided a loan that was made up of crypto and cash that was worth about $500 million to help stabilize Voyager. But the company went bankrupt. In an effort to prop up Alameda, Sam discreetly transferred $4 billion worth of FTX consumer funds. However, he publicly stated that these funds were being moved around within the FTX company. But Sam was lying. Okay, so now I really think this guy's not a good dude.
Yeah, definitely.
The trade was not routine like he claimed in his tweet. Rather, it was the largest transfer of tokens on an exchange. And to make matters worse, the recipient's wallet was not an FTX account, but another wallet at Omega. With no chain of command, hierarchy, or accountability set up from the start, Sam didn't tell other FTX executives about the move. Meanwhile, Carolyn, Almeida's CEO, had accidentally revealed on a call that FTX had used consumer funds to help liabilities. Talk about digging your own grave. Carolyn had unknowingly admitted to committing a criminal activity. Click here to see the continuation of this video and my convo with Sam Bankman-Fried. Subscribe to my channel for more wacky, high information content like this.